Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Inside the Inferno. I'm Ari Wall alongside Kyle Krikorian, and we are excited to bring you the big news of this past week.
Lots of big news this week in the ASU sports world. Today we'll be looking at ASU volleyball, golf, and the NIL deals signed by some of our athletes. But first, let's start with ASU football.
Following a loss on the road against Oklahoma State, the Sun Devils returned to Tempe to take on Eastern Michigan. In a game where ASU should have dominated, the Eagles pulled off a massive upset. Inferno Intel football reporter Finn Garrison recaps Saturday's embarrassing loss.
After a devastating loss to the ranked Oklahoma State Cowboys, the Arizona State Sun Devils looked to bounce back against Eastern Michigan, but the Eagles had other plans. On Saturday, September 17th, the Sun Devils hosted Eastern Michigan in what was thought to be a walk in the park. However, once the game got underway, it was the Eagles who were the ones controlling the game and upset the Sun Devils 30-21. On offense, the Sun Devils finished with 352 total yards and failed to put points on the board until the second quarter, when quarterback Emory Jones found wide receiver Andre Johnson in the end zone for a 3-yard pass and later ran for a 3-yard touchdown. On the ground, senior running back Xavier Valade finished with 16 carries for 127 yards and found the end zone late in the fourth quarter on a 44-yard run. After the game, Jones blamed a lack of focus leading up to the game for the team's loss.
The team overall, we weren't really locked into the little bitty details that we usually are, and I feel like it showed up today, and that's something that we have to be aware of and realize and actually just get better from.
For the Eagles, it was senior running back Samson Evans who gashed the Sun Devils' defense on the ground. Evans totaled 258 rushing yards and 1 touchdown on 36 carries. Eastern Michigan finished the game with 458 total yards.
Lo and behold, they hit us on a couple running plays again and made some big yards on run plays. It wasn't passing, it was a run game. And you got to give them credit. They stuck to it.
Sitting at a record of 1-2 heading into Pac-12 play, offensive lineman Ladarius Henderson hopes the team can find their identity and rise to the occasion.
Next practice will actually starting tomorrow and figure out what team we are going forward into Pac-12 plays.
Arizona State now shifts their focus toward another ranked opponent in the number 13 Utah Utes, who they host on Saturday, September 24th.
Following the loss to Eastern Michigan on Saturday, breaking news came out of Tempe as it was announced that Herm Edwards was no longer the head coach. Inferno Intel's Ryan Blank has more.
Last Saturday's upset loss to Eastern Michigan was the final straw for Herm Edwards. On Sunday, it was announced that Edwards relinquished his head coaching duties, ending an era full of ups and downs. In his 4+ seasons in Tempe, Edwards finished with a 26-20 record and a Sun Bowl victory back in 2019. However, this move has been expected for a long time. With an NCAA investigation dating back to COVID-19 dead period visits looming over the heads of the programs, many thought that Edwards was going to be fired after last season. However, it wasn't even a thought for athletic director Ray Anderson. While Edwards had multiple big-name wins over top 25 opponents, the Herm era did not live up to the expectations. Edwards was expected to take the program to the next level and get ASU back to the Pac-12 championship and Rose Bowl. However, despite having the talent to do those things and be at the top of the conference, the Sun Devils fell short each year. In the end, it took a loss to a team with a backup quarterback under center and a senior running back who had his first career 100-yard rushing game in Sun Devil Stadium to end it. An era of ASU football that started with uncertainty as Ray Anderson hired a good friend and a former client of his in Edwards has ended with an embarrassing upset loss. The lasting impact that will be felt from Herm Edwards won't be the back-to-back wins over Michigan State. It won't be the Oregon upset in 2019, and it won't even be the Sun Bowl victory. It will be the NCAA investigation and the outcomes from that investigation. Sun Devil football is already feeling the impact with only 6 commitments from players for the 2023 season. It is likely to get worse as sanctions are on the way from the described significant violations made by Edwards' staff. Now, ASU shifts its focus to the rest of the season with running backs coach Sean Aguano taking over as the interim head coach. Aguano has been in Arizona for over 20 years and loves the Grand Canyon State while having a successful track record dating back to his days at Chandler High School. To learn more about Aguano, Blake Neiman has the story.
There is a new face at the helm of the Arizona State football program. Following the parting of ways between Herm Edwards and the program, ASU running back coach Sean Aguano was immediately moved into the interim head coach position. On Monday, he addressed the media in his introductory press conference. He said that this opportunity is a dream come true, fighting back the overcoming emotions as he spoke.
This opportunity, on the grand scale of things, is a dream for me as well. And all I can ask is for opportunity. So what do I do with that opportunity in the next 9 games? Is to try to put a product on the field that the Sun Devil Nation is proud of. And I'm going to do my best. And you'll get every effort that I have, heart and soul, into this program.
Prior to coming on to the ASU staff in 2019, Aguano served as the head coach of Chandler High School, where he accumulated an overall record of 88-19, leading the Wolves to 4 6A state titles. With connections across the Arizona high school football landscape, Aguano emphasized the importance of recruiting in-state athletes.
I will personally recruit Arizona kids. I know their coaches. I know what they are about. I know what the kids want. I've sat on the other side of them and what they're sold against. I will personally recruit Arizona kids.
Before Aguano gets too far ahead of himself in the recruitment process, he is going to have to address the main challenge at hand in facing 3 straight AP-ranked opponents. He says his number one priority will be to inspire players to play fast, physical football.
How do I inspire these guys to play fast, physical football? That's my number one. Making sure that I take care of the kids. That's the most important thing for me.
In a quick turnaround, Aguano will have his shot at making a good first impression as ASU takes on the defending Pac-12 champion Utah Utes Saturday night at Sun Devil Stadium.
Thanks, Blake. Despite the departure of Herm Edwards, we can still take a look back at our favorite moments with him from these past 4+ years. Sam Valenti has those moments.
With the Herm Edwards era officially over in Tempe, it's time to look back on the best moments from his time right here at Arizona State. While the Sun Devils did not come close to the goal of reaching the Rose Bowl, Coach Edwards still provided some fun memories. First off, the back-to-back wins over Michigan State in 2018 and 19. Who could have predicted that ASU would take down a Big Ten powerhouse? Not once, but twice. Now, what about that incredible victory over Justin Herbert and the Oregon Ducks back in 2019? One of the greatest games in ASU history with one of the loudest crowds ever at Sun Devil Stadium. You can't forget about the Sun Bowl win against Florida State on New Year's Eve in 2019. The Sun Devil defense came up huge in that game with 4 interceptions, beating the Seminoles 20-14. And of course, the best moment of the Herm Edwards era at ASU was the 70-7 demolition against the team down south. That game will never, ever be forgotten, whether you're in Tempe or Tucson. While Herm Edwards definitely underachieved with ASU, he still gave the Sun Devil fans some memorable moments. And of course, he always played to win the game. I'm Sam Valenti. Have a golden day.
Thanks, Sam, for giving us the memorable moments during Herm Edwards' coaching era. Now, Coach Aguano has a big matchup Saturday night against Utah in his first game posing as the head coach. Here, Nicholas Hodel with the preview.
Thanks so much, Kyle. Aguano could not ask for a tougher test to open his term as ASU's interim head coach than the Utah Utes. The Utes have easily taken care of business in the past 2 weeks since losing their season opener in a close road loss at Florida. Utah has given up only 7 points in each of its last 2 games. Combined with a powerful offensive performance in those games against Southern Utah and San Diego State, Utes are the only team in the Pac-12 conference to rank in the top 25 nationally in both scoring offense and defense. The offense is led by quarterback Cameron Rising, who rose to the occasion last week after a slow 3-for-10 start to complete 15 of his next 20 passes for nearly 200 yards and a career-high 4 touchdowns. Look for Rising to get his tight ends involved early and often as the senior duo of Brett Kuth and Dalton Kincaid makes Utah the only FBS team with 2 active tight ends with over 1,000 career receiving yards. On defense, the Utes take pride in stopping the run. They rank 5th among Power 5 schools in rushing defense since 2016, and in the Pac-12, Utah has topped the rushing defense list for 4 straight seasons. Utah has momentum in the all-time series against the Sun Devils with 4 wins in the last 6 meetings. However, only one of those games came in Tempe back in 2016.
Should be an interesting matchup this Saturday night. Thank you, Nicholas. Name, image, and likeness, or NIL, has been a big topic throughout NCAA sports this year. Inferno Intel's Carly Koskovich tells us how it has impacted ASU.
The acronym NIL may sound unfamiliar. However, this new term has changed the game for all NCAA sports. In June 2021, the NCAA approved student athletes to market themselves and make money using their name, image, and likeness. This rule gave them the golden ticket to become influencers all over social media. Now we are seeing Sun Devil athletes partner with brands for dual benefits. For over 100 years, the NCAA viewed athletes as amateurs and that they should not get paid to play. One of the positives is having local businesses be busier than usual. Now athletes are earning money on their name, image, and likeness. This is only the beginning for how the NCAA has changed and will leave a huge impact on athletes and businesses.
Hopefully the NCAA will keep allowing athletes to make some cash. Thanks for the details, Carly. We'll now transition to ASU volleyball and their win against Arizona in Tucson. Noelle Blumel has the update.
Pac-12 play is officially underway as women's volleyball had their first conference match on Wednesday. And what better first opponent than the infamous team down south? The Lady Devils stepped into Tucson looking to start conference play on a high note, especially after going 1-2 this past weekend in the Red Raider Classic. Despite falling to the Wildcats in the first set with a score of 25-23, the Devils managed to fight back with 3 straight sets won and eventually winning the match in 4. It's safe to say this was in part due to Iman Isanovic's 18 leading total kills, followed by Marta Levinska and Jelly Sear, who also put up double-digit kills. But the offense would not have been as consistently and effectively paced if it weren't for junior setter Ella Snyder, who put up a season high of 45 assists. Snyder also had 10 digs, securing her second double-double of the season. The defensive side was just as impactful thanks to senior libero Annika Larson-Numer, who had a season high of 25 digs. Head coach Sonia Tomasevic credited the team's defensive execution to the plan based on their scouting report of the Wildcats. The team now heads to the University of Colorado Boulder to face the Lady Bison in their second conference match of the season. Be sure to continue following the Lady Devils on the road before they return home on October 7th in their second week of conference play.
Thank you, Noelle. And now, here is Paul Schultz with an update on ASU golf.
Golf season is in full swing for ASU's men's and women's teams. Coach Matt Thurman's men's team finished 4th place in the Fighting Illini Invitational. Senior Riggs Johnston led the way for the Sun Devils with an individual 4th place finish, and Josele Ballester birdied the first 3 holes en route to an even par 70 score in the final round. Next, it's off to Fort Worth, Texas for the Colonial Collegiate beginning October 3rd. Coach Missy Farke's women's team began its fall season with an 8th place finish at the Annika Intercollegiate. Junior Ashley Menny and sophomore Callan Rossholt led the way for ASU, as each finished in the top 20 as individuals. Sophomore Grace Summerhays scored a 1 par 71 on the final day to finish the tournament tied for 26th. The women's team too will return to competition on October 3rd in Illinois at the Windy City Classic.
Thanks, Paul. Now we'll move to Stephen Buxton with an update on ASU soccer.
On Monday, Nicole Douglas was named the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Week. Douglas led the Sun Devils on offense, scoring 4 goals and 2 shutout wins this past week. The 5th-year senior leads the nation in points per game, goals per game, and is 4th in total goals. Dating back to last year, she has 28 goals in her last 26 games. Her performance helped the Sun Devils close out non-conference play unbeaten after a 5-0 win against Toledo last Sunday. The shutout win was a complete team effort with 7 different players either having a goal or an assist. The 5 goals were scored by Ava Wright, Olivia Nguyen, Nicole Douglas, Kennedy Mayo, and Eva Van Dersen. It wasn't all offense for the Sun Devils, though, as the defense held Toledo to just 1 shot on goal. During their 3-game winning streak, the team has played well on both ends, outscoring opponents 16-2. The Sun Devils hope to keep the momentum going with the team starting Pac-12 play on the road against Colorado on Friday. And then their first home conference game is on September 29th against Cal.
Well, that's going to be the end of our show today. Thank you to the viewers for tuning in, and thank you to our reporters who are always hard at work crafting great reports to share with you all.
To stay up to date with all of our news and content, you can check out our website, infernointel.com, and our Twitter @InfernoIntel. For Kyle Krikorian and the entire crew, I'm Ari Wall. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.